everyone. And as Archana ma'am was just mentioning, so our original speaker for today, um, Ms. Rama Sinha, so she has taken ill, and Dr. Anindita Sen has been very kind enough to step in at short notice. So we'll be very happy to hear from her. And so, about our speakers for today, Dr. Anindita Sen is a dentist, and she's also been a student of one of our founder members, Dr. Lisa Patak. And so we'll be very happy to hear from her about her experiences with mental health. And of course, we'll be joined by our eminent psychiatrist from the panel because we've already heard her before, Dr. Sasha Rekhi. Hi, ma'am. And she is the director of Positive Vibes, which is she's been trained at Safdarjung Hospital, and and she has a very different approach to mental health as compared to maybe some other mental health professionals. So she's very active on social media. You can see her videos, etc., in both English and Hindi. And so what we'll be doing is we'll initially invite Dr. Anindita to come and share her experiences, and then we'll have the expert step in, and then we'll, as always, have questions and answers. So we have a lot of the usual suspects. Professor Bikramjit has just joined us. Hello, sir. And so we'll maybe have more and more numbers as the program goes on. And may I request you, Dr. Anindita, to come and share some of your views, and very very candid manner, because this is a safe space. So yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, Archana Verma, ma'am. Thank you so much, and Dr. Lisa, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this platform. So, uh, my story is something very different. It's we say that depression comes in a single shot, but it's not always. It is not always the case. Depression builds up little by little throughout the experiences we gain. Not every experiences gives give us depression, but some of the traumatic experiences we face, they they inscribe some very bad memories in our inside us, and for that reason, we experience this disease called depression. I won't call it a disease. It's an experience with which we grow up. After overcoming it, we become a better human. So, whatever we become, it is the result of the experiences we face, and throughout the phases we grow. So, as my story, it is not continuous. It is type of discrete. So it goes back to 1990s when I was born and I was a little child. So my unfortunately my father lost his job. He used to do a government job, but some due to some reasons in Arunachal Pradesh, he lost his job. So I was very little at that time. We got shifted to Guwahati as my maternal parents lived there. So after coming here in Guwahati, the relatives who used to love me, with whom I used to find affection, they started ignoring me. They started ignoring my family. So I felt bad. I was a little child, but a little child can also experience was called it is love, because love. A child always wants love, care from everyone. So that was a phase. After that, I got admitted in a school and in an English medium school. It was a private school. So my though our financial condition was not that good, my parents tried to get me admitted in a good school. So after I got admitted, I started studying there. The the students, I mean, they were also child like me at that time. Uh, I don't know about their why they were like that, but they used to form groups. I was in class two, I guess, at the time. So they used to form groups. Groupism was on the basis of what does your father do, and where is your house, or like how much big house you have, like that. So and I used to feel bad. Though I was a child, but I used to feel bad because those were questions put in front of me to get entered into their group. After that, days passed by, and I was a very average student. I was not that a good student. So teachers used to think that, oh, whatever the others say, other classmates they say, that they used to bully me. That you are, and I was also very fragile, thin, lean, and thin, very timid. So they used to like bully me. They used to push me. Once they pushed me and I fall into the stairs also. So those are some incidents. So whenever I used to complain, the teachers they used to think that, yeah, she's bad. And my classmates they used to tell the teachers that I'm mischievous, or I used to do very unacceptable things. So they used to complain against me, but I was very innocent. I mean, because as a child, what can you do? I mean, those level of mischievous, they used to tell very bad things. I mean, at that age also they used to say very unacceptable things. So against me. So the teachers thought that I am very bad. So I used to get punished every day. Okay, that's all right. And but these things जो हमारे एज के बच्चे हैं ना, हम 1990s के, so at that time the education system was very different from what it is now. Right now we have counseling classes, but at that time those were not there. Just everyone used to focus on academics, or not so much of co-curricular activities. So nowadays the education system has become better. I appreciate that. So at that time, my mom, then I came home and I told my mom that everyone used to bully me. So she felt bad. She went to my school. She talked with my teachers. Then teachers told that majority of the students tell that your daughter is like this, like that. They are bad. So whatever. So my mom then she came home and then she told me, "Beta, if you want to succeed, if you want to gain the care, affection, love, you have to be a very good student. Being a average student, no one will like you." Like that, my mom used to teach me. So this phase it's in the school era. Now next I come to my family. So my family they used to mock me because of my financial condition. Those relatives who used to love me once, they neglected me, my family, and we used to stay in a very meager amount, and in a very bad condition at that time, a bad financial condition. So after that, few years gone, I started growing up. I was in class seven. At the time, my mom got sick, so I went with her to hospital. My father was also there. So while in the lift, my mother was on a wheelchair, and I was there alone with her. My father went for some formalities in the hospital. Uh, so the ward boy, my mom, and me, we three were there. My mom was unconscious. Thank you, ma'am Nita Mishra. So, my mom was unconscious on the wheelchair, and I was alone with that ward boy. My father went for formalities in the hospital. At that time, when if I remember that experience, till now I get goosebumps. Uh, I was a child. I was only around 10, 12 years old. I was studying in class 7. That word boy broke my private part, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to react at that time. Still now, I don't feel good about that incident. Um, and I couldn't say anyone because my mom was in the wheelchair. She was unconscious. I was not feeling good because obviously we everyone loves our mom. So she was in a state. I don't know what would have happened with her. It was a very tense environment, and above that, that molestation happened with me, and I tolerated that for around 2 to 3 minutes because the lift was closed. I couldn't call my mom. So that was very bad experience for me. And after the lift was opened, I couldn't say to my papa also because he was very tensed about mom. I was very tense. So this situation I couldn't share with anyone. And I didn't share this incident with anyone till the last year with Dr. Lisa ma'am because I thought that I can confide into her. She is really great lady. So yes, so that incident happened. It put a mark, permanent mark on my soul because as a child we didn't know what these things were or what is good touch, what is bad touch. We didn't know. So what is the meaning of molestation? We didn't know. Now as we grew up, we have understood what is the meaning of it. So that was a worst experience, and after that, some like I was very depressed for around 10 to 12 days. I won't tell that depressed because at that age we don't know what is the meaning of depression. I was very I don't used to eat. I don't used to feel good. My mom used to ask me, "What is your problem? What is the problem? Please tell me better." So I couldn't tell her because I thought it is improper to say these things. Uh, after that, I realized that no, now it's enough time. If I want to gain that love, that care from people, so I have to get into something that will earn me the love, that affection, that care, that respect from the society. The respect I yearned for the years because I felt that I was not cared, I was not loved because of my financial condition. And at that time literally it was very bad, and literally the reality is that those people neglected due to the financial condition. They don't used to talk. Those people who used to come to our house, who used to giggle, who used to gossip, who used to laugh with us, they began neglecting us. So my mom used to feel bad like that. I thought that if I want to gain respect in the society, if I want to gain, it's not about money, it's about love, care and affection as well as respect. um, so I have to become a very good first of all I have to become a very good human. Those incidents which happened with me shouldn't make me bad or shouldn't make me a bad human. I have to grow, I have to be a better human, I have to achieve something with which I will earn success, or I will earn respect into the society. So after that, I thought, yes, a profession such as doctor will give me this opportunity, will give me the respect, will give me the care and love from people which I want, because it's a noble profession, and obviously we believe that doctors are next to God. So I started studying. I started studying very hard because, as I told, I was not a very good student. I was an average student, so I started studying very hard. And on the side, my parents they were gaining economically. They were becoming stronger economically. So I was studying. I was studying hard. In my boards, I was one of the toppers. So after that, I realized those teachers, those relatives who used to neglect me, they came forward. They now they used to love me. They told, "Yeah, our daughter, she is very good," and all this. Yeah, we are proud of her. Yeah, thanks. I am very thankful to you people because if you people were not there, I would have not become a doctor, or I would not have thought of becoming something which will earn me love and respect. So thanks for that. And after that, I gave entrance. I cracked BDS. So my now the second bout of depression which came, it was like I wanted to become a neurosurgeon, but I gave the entrance. I scored such marks that I was in borderline. So whether I will get MBBS or I will get BDS, like that. So if I want to become a neurosurgeon, I have to get an MBBS degree. So after that, I went for BDS because I was very uncertain whether I will get MBBS seat or not. So after I joined BDS, few of my friends got selected into MBBS because names came in the newspaper like rank wise. So I thought, okay, next is my rank. I will also be getting in the next counseling the seat. But net when the next counseling happened, at that time like the DME told that I'm sorry, but you will, yeah, there was a seat for you, but you will not be able to join that seat because there some administrative problem. The open circular came that whoever has already signed the bond in BDS, they will not be given a seat in MBBS, though they have secured that seat. So yes, I felt very bad at that time because I thought that I was expecting, yes, I will be getting that seat. The first time my expectation grew. Like I didn't expect that I will not get the seat. I had 110% expectations. So I felt bad. My friends got admitted, but I couldn't. So yeah, I stayed in BDS. Then I thought about my professors, about all those dentists who are so famous, who actually brought back smile to the faces of people. So I thought it's a very good profession. Yes, I can at least bring smile into the faces of people. Uh, After that, yeah, I enjoyed BTS. I was studying. I was enjoying with my friends. But those bouts, those attacks, they used to come like mm, a few times. And at that time, my best friend Sanjukta, she and me used to be in hostel together. She is also a dentist. So she used to. She used to make me understand that yeah, what life is, or don't worry, uh, you you just try to forget those, like that. She used to she is like, she's an awesome friend. बहुत मुझे बहुत संभाला उसने during my hostel days. I think she has also joined. uh, Thank you Sanjukta, if you join. And we were in hostel, so whenever those attacks used to come, those panic attacks, I used to talk to my friends, and yes, I used to get better. After that, I completed my BTS and I completed my internship. Then I applied for house surgeon in a regional dental college. So my other friends, they got the seat, they got to apply, but actually my application was not accepted because of some reasons, because my university result came a little bit later. So there were some technical issues, so I couldn't join at that year. It was in 2019, and my friends, they went. They were not there because they already joined. I left my hostel. I came to home. My friends joined house surgeon. So at that time, I felt very lonely. My best friend, yeah, we used to talk over the phone. She was always there for me, still now. Like they went away to their own career path. My all friends whom I used to confide in, and after that I felt very lonely. I mean, I couldn't tell anyone my feelings. I'm very sensitive. I mean, I couldn't, whenever I can't express my feelings to anyone, I feel I feel anguish, I feel anxiety. I don't feel good whenever I can't express my feelings to anyone. So, and there was no one to whom I can say these things. I felt very lonely. Then an opportunity came. One of our professors, she went to leave for her maternity leave. So she told me that, Anita, can you handle the clinic for a few months? So that I will be relieved for a few months. So I can. I told her, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I will be definitely doing my best. So after that, I started to do the clinic, and her father, he is such a kind, such a human being. He's so good. He is a mentor to me, sir. I really, he's not in our group now, right now, but really I appreciate him. I honor him. He's such a father figure to me. I couldn't express my feelings, or I couldn't express these experiences to my father, because yeah, we don't have that much of friendly relations. And my father and I have a relation like, okay, you have to study, you have to secure this, that, like that. We are very it's not an informal, it's a very formal type of relation we share. So sir was very friendly. He used to ask me, Anita, I see a very tensed thing in you. You are always tense. You are thinking about something. And then I told sir that, sir, actually I don't tell anyone, but I feel that I can share with you. So I told him few things about my life. So then sir told me about his experiences, how he grew up, and he is a very renowned doctor. He is also a dentist. He is a very renowned dentist in our city, Guwahati. So he told me about his experiences. So, okay, ma'am, just a minute. Ma'am, hello, Nitika ma'am. Hello.
Parikshit, your mic is mute.
No, no. I was just saying, Anindita, please continue. We will take the questions later on, or if you want, you can take the questions now also. I mean, there is a question that
No,
anguish.
I think those things are gaps are basically disrupting her flow. So let her first continue, and then we take up the questions later.
Perfectly okay. Yes. Please
And
continue.
yeah, yeah.
After that, sir told me about his experiences, how he grew up, how he struggled. His elder brother struggled. He is a cardiologist. So, he told me about his experiences, and sir is an awesome human being. Yeah, and after listening to him, I felt inspired. I felt that yes, I can do. I can overcome this situation. Sir told me that, Ananta, one day I was also treated like you. I had nothing. I had only 500 rupees. At that time, 500 rupees was much. It was in 1970s. I had 500 rupees in my pocket, and I started with that. I started my clinic with that. I took loan, and he told about his experiences, how he grew up, how he had the patience. He told me, Anita, one thing you lack is patience. Be patient. Everything will fall into place if you are patient. So then, he inspired me. I started preparing for my post graduation MDS. So and his wife, ma'am, he is also a very great human being. She used to love me like her daughter. She also told me about her experiences. She is a writer by profession. So she told me that, whatever be the situation, Anita, don't give up. Don't give up, because every human being has a peak time. Uh, every human being has a peak time of career, of everything. there is a peak time. You have a peak time for unhappiness also, you have peak time for happiness also, because life is a roller coaster journey. No person is 100% happy. The happiness, no doubt, it comes from within, but no person is 100% all right, 100% perfect. So it's the give time. It's the time that will do everything. Everything will fall into place if you give time. Ma'am told me that thing. So after that, I was there for around 6 months. After that, I again applied for my house surgeon. So this time I got, because that issue was solved, and I got I got the job. I got house surgeon as a junior resident surgeon in regional dental college. So, and I got very good bonding with Lisa ma'am in that year 2020. After I joined there, uh, I was I got everything which I wanted. Sir told me one thing, Aninida, one day you will get everything what you wanted. But if you are not happy from within, you will not be happy with money, with success, with anything, whatever you wanted and you got. The happiness have to come from within. So at the time, I got everything. Money I got whatever I wanted. I got success. Yeah, I will be calling it success according to me, because little bit, little. Yes, ma'am. A little bit, little. I'm progressing. But at that time, whenever Archana ma'am once shared this story that whenever you used to see your maid, you used to feel jealous that yeah, she is happy, but why I'm not happy. And the same happened with me whenever I used to see my fellow friends, like they are very simple. They have done their own work. They are living as housewives, or this very simple. They are not into any professional line or something. So they are not working. I used to see them and I used to feel jealous that wow, they have such a lovely life. They don't have any tension. They they don't have any tension of future. Why I am always tense? And I'm Whenever I sit idle, always some tensions come to my mind, which are very irrelevant. Even Lisa ma'am knows this, that very irrelevant tensions come to my mind, and I'm very negative. I'm very negative person. I don't know why, but excuse me, I'm very negative. Like whichever thing will go into a positive direction, I will think as no, it might happen wrong. It might happen wrong with him or her. If I a person went to somewhere. If the person had an accident, no, he shouldn't, like that. Those things come to my mind whenever even my parents go out. I used to feel they should come safely home, like that. Very If someone doesn't receive my call, I think, oh my god, is something happened to him or her, like that. I don't know, very negative feelings come to my mind. Even related to my career, I think that okay, I will do this. What will be the result of it? Whether it will be good or bad. A very negative minded personality. I accept this thing. I am like that. So about this also, even Lisa ma'am told me, and sir also told me that I have to be very positive. I have to be optimistic if I really want to be happy. So yes, I'm trying. It's very difficult for a person like me who is so negative, that to bring that optimism into my life. And Okay, but I'm trying. After that, I used to feel jealous with those people. I used to think, wow, they are getting married. They are so happy. And they are living their life. I don't know what problems they are facing, because every person has some or the other problem. But the grass is always greener on the other side. Thank you, ma'am. Then After that, I used to feel very bad. Those earlier negative thoughts used to come. I used to feel jealous and all. Then I talked to Lisa ma'am about this, and she counseled me. She told me that happiness is something, it comes from within. It is not subjective. Happiness. if and I should be grateful that I am living a life which others dream of. I am living a life which others dream of, others think to live, but I am living that. There are many people who are not able to feed themselves. I being in a position I can feed myself, my family, or if God gives me, if God permits me, I will also help others who I can help. So like ma'am told me, it's all about your inner feeling or inside feeling. You have to be happy from inside. You have to gain that feeling from little things, like a child is innocent. You look at her, see, she is so happy because she doesn't think, she only thinks of love. A child thinks of, yes, I will give love to everyone, I will receive love from everyone. And a very tension free life. We have tension in everyone's life, everyone has some of the other tension, but we have to keep it aside, and we have to be spiritually awake, we have to be like, yeah, we have to be happy in short. So we have to forget all the negative things in our life. We have to focus always on the positive aspects of everything. So like that, yes, I'm coping up, and I'm proud that I have overcome it to the maximum extent. Yeah, little bit is left, because it's something, it will not go at one shot, it needs time, but yes, I have coped and I have overcome it around maximum extent. And thank you so much everyone for listening to me, for giving us your valuable time to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anindita. Very, very candid talk. And you have brought to the fore, I think, some very, very important issues about which we can talk about. So, you have talked about bullying, you've talked about the injury to the soul, if I may, which happens when, some kind of molestation or something like that happens. And in fact, especially in a situation like a nursing home or something, I mean, being from the law background, if something like that happens in a nursing home or a hospital, there are actually special provisions in IPC for that, because you are expected to have higher standard of care there, you are expected to be more vulnerable there. So that is why. And you have also brought into the focus that, yes, people as children do a lot of mischievous things. You were talking that, you were doing mischievous things as a child, growing up in the 90s. Growing up in the 80s, I have done something very mischievous. We used to see, at that time there was no cable TV. We used to only see Ramayana and Mahabharat. And there, whenever somebody died, they would do Antim Sanskar. So in my colony, there was a cat who had died, and we did Antim Sanskar. Only when we did Antim Sanskar did we realize that the cat was not dead. So it was just probably, too sick. So the moment we put that pyre, which was made of things which were, I mean, branches of trees, etc., we made a pyre. One of the boys, we asked him to go to his house and get some kerosene, because in those days kerosene was used as fuel, and tied a rag and then used it just like we saw on TV. So, and then the shriek which the cat made, and we were 7, 8, 9 year olds, and I was the leader of the gang. And even now, there are now more than 30 years have elapsed since that incident. And even now, when I meet those aunties who are now in their 70s and whatever, so they still remind me of the same incident, which I did in the 80s. So these things happen. So that's okay. I mean, children are supposed to be mischievous. I don't see anything wrong in that. So we can talk more to the expert on this. So the things
Sir,
that yes, please, Anandita.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Sir, actually, that molestation thing, sir, it happened with me not only once, it happened many times with me. It happened in hospital, it happened in a vehicle. in a public transport, and also in within my family.
So these things they happen, and they are they. When you are a child, you don't know how to deal with it. When you are an adult, you can deal with these things better. I mean, but then when you are a child, you just don't know. It doesn't hit you. I understand what you're saying, and so maybe what kind of an impact. And one more thing I have to say before we go to the expert. You said you wanted to be a neurosurgeon, so. I have lived in London for a period of time, and the most highly sought after medical professionals in London, no prizes for guessing, dentists and psychiatrists. They are the ones who are most sought after. They are the ones who earn the most. And today we have dentists and psychiatrists. So I think this is a very good platform. So over to you, Dr. Eki. If you will just talk a little bit more about the issues which he has highlighted about bullying, about inappropriate sexual behavior. And before that, before we invite the doctor, I will just like to do a quick introduction of her because she has done her psychiatry residency program at Government Medical College, Amritsar, and thereafter she has taught at IPHP, which is the Institute of Psychiatry and Human Behavior in Goa, and she has worked at RML Hospital, which is a very prestigious hospital in Delhi. She has been trained at and she has worked at Safdarjung Hospital. And presently, she is a consulting psychiatrist at Primus Hospital, Janakipuri, Delhi. And she also heads this institution called Positive Vibes. So, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, so I was attentively listening to the narrative, Anandika. So it definitely moved me a lot. So, in her emotion narrative, I could see, how adverse childhood events like financial scarcity, bullying at school, harsh parenthood, harsh parenting, and of course physical harassments, how they shape our childhood. And even if the trauma passes on, even if the trauma is a matter of past, still, that triggers our present life. When you told the sentence that it has left permanent mark on my soul. So there is one very popular, as I'm, very fond of Bollywood song. There is a very popular song. There is a very famous line from that. Uh, जीने के लिए सोचा ही नहीं था दर्द संभालने होंगे मुस्कुराए तो मुस्कुराने के कर्ज उतारने होंगे. So I feel that these adverse childhood events or these complex traumas are like fixed deposits in our life. एक तरह के कर्ज होते हैं जो कर्ज हमें जिंदगी में बार बार चुकाने होते हैं. Don't you think so, आनंदिता? वो हो चुके होते हैं हमारी जिंदगी में और बार बार वो ट्रिगर्स हमारी लाइफ में बार बार आते हैं. For example, what you told as repeated bouts of depression, whether you were preparing for your this residency, whether you were preparing for your entrance exams, whether you were preparing for your job. You told me you were having the repeated bouts of depressions. These were all the triggers. Right? Even now, when you are having everything well off in your life, still something triggers in your life. So these are all, something in your past. Even everything is well off in your life at present stage. Still, something from your past triggers. एक चिंगारी की तरह वो बार बार आके आपको ट्रिगर करता रहता है. This is all what trauma is. And trauma is quite a complex topic. It's seldom discussed of. हम हमेशा सोचते हैं, हम बोलते रहते हैं कि past is past, भूल जाओ. But ऐसा होता है कि हम बोलते रहते हैं कि समय मतलब जो time heals everything. जो वक्त है सारे गम भर देता है. But it's never so. मुझे लगता है कि जो घाव होते हैं हम उनको कहीं ना कहीं दबा देते हैं और उसके ऊपर ना कई कई परतें चढ़ाते रहते हैं और फिर कोई नया ट्रिगर आता है, वो कहीं ना कहीं तरह से वो ऊपर से उभर आता है, बट उस फॉर्म में नहीं, पता नहीं कैसे फॉर्म है। कुछ लोग उसको गुस्सा या चिड़चिड़ापन हो जाता है कईयों को, कुछ लोग बहुत विड्रॉन हो जाते हैं, किसी न किसी रूप में वो निकलता रहता है बाहर, unless until it is effectively resolved in our life. That's why कभी कभी क्या होता है कि लाइफ बिल्कुल सही चल रही होती है, सब कुछ सही चल रहा होता है, तो अचानक से किसी को मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज हो जाते हैं। Why does this happen? That's why it is said कि unresolved traumas in our life are also one of the major cause of mental health issues in our life. So that's why it's very important to discuss about traumas in our life. So just as you were discussing about many, see, I will just discuss in more detail about what all you discussed. So you discussed about many aspects of traumas like financial scarcity. You discussed about physical harassment, about sexual harassments, about loneliness in child. Right? You discussed about how, despite you achieve everything in your life, you still face that feeling of low self worth in your life. Even if you did your graduation, you wanted to be a house surgeon. Even if you did you got that house surgeon job, you wanted to be neurosurgeon. You still were, looking after some external validation. You were still depending upon, you were just relating your self worth upon external achievements in your life. Because whenever you went to your parents that you were bullied at school, or whenever you were facing some external tough situations in your life, your parents just told that it's okay, you just study, and when you will study, you will achieve something, it will be okay. You're still following that defense mechanism in your life. हाँ, मैं आगे और पढ़ूंगी, आगे मैं न्यूरो सर्जन बनूंगी, आगे और कुछ करूंगी, सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा, and you're still following that, and that's still defense mechanism, you're still following that in life. But maybe you're trying to work upon that deeper things in your life, no doubt, but still more work is needed, right? तो क्या होता है कि हम most of the time parents यही सिखाते हैं कि आप ये achieve करो, आगे ये achieve करो, and everything will be fine. But we don't endeavor to work upon the deeper things which are hurting us deeply. So most of the traumas, they remain unresolved in ourselves. और वो बहुत सारे चीजों में आते हैं, like वो mental health issues. Mental health issues like depression, anxiety, panic attacks, loneliness, self-blame, low self-worth, etc. They start affecting our relationships also. We start feeling lonely in our relationships. We start having low self-worth. We start having trust issues. Right? And most of the time, they don't only affect our mental health issues. We also start having unexplained physical symptoms. Most of the time क्या होता है, बहुत सारे physical symptoms which doesn't have any physical explanation. Like बहुत सारे physical unexplained physical symptoms होते हैं, like headaches, back pains, GI symptoms, stomach upsets. They are also because of many unresolved traumas in our life. So this was just in context of your case. So I will just give a very brief overview what is trauma. Right? हम trauma कहते किसको हैं? So I always wish that there was more awareness about trauma. जब भी हम एक trauma word सुनते हैं तो हमारे दिमाग में हमेशा एक विचार आ जाता है कि जैसे एक बहुत ही डीपली कैटास्ट्रॉफिक इवेंट है, कोई एक्सीडेंट हो गया या कोई बहुत डीप फिजिकल इंजरी हो गई. ट्रॉमा इज समथिंग विच इज हाईली पर्सनल. कोई ऐसा इवेंट, कोई भी ऐसी स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन जो आपके लिए ट्रॉमेटिक हो, मे बी दूसरे इंसान के लिए बिल्कुल ट्रॉमेटिक ना हो. इन शॉर्ट, कोई भी ऐसा इवेंट which is associated with feelings of, it could be any feelings where you felt frightened, where you felt fearful, where you felt threatened, where you felt unsafe, where you felt powerless, where you felt helpless, where you felt invalidated. It could be any event. Either you can be part of that trauma, or either you witnessed that trauma. So एंड आई ट्रस्ट मी, जितने भी लोग जो यहाँ पे इस इवेंट में पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, आई everybody have experienced that emotional and psychological trauma in their life, and almost everybody had some or the other unresolved trauma in them, and that unresolved trauma is manifesting in some or the other form of psychological or physical symptom in them. So trauma can cause lot of mental and physical symptoms, as I already explained. तो क्या होता है कि how this trauma manifest in our body, as we know that trauma manifest as form of stress in our body. तो जो stress होता है, like what form of stress it can, what does the stress do to our body? Stress actually release stress hormones in our body like adrenaline or cortisol. So what all
Raghav, network.
actually make our body to go into flight or a fight mode. जब कोई flight mode में जाता है, they go into hyper arousal state. Hyper arousal state means state of increased arousal. Increased arousal means कि hyper vigilance. कि मान लो कि अगर फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर सिंपल सा एग्जाम्पल ले लेते हैं, एवरीबडी मस्ट हैव हर्ड अबाउट दिस एग्जाम्पल कि इफ अ एनिमल इज रनिंग बिहाइंड यू, अगर आपके पीछे शेर भागने लग जाए, तो आप एक हाइपर अराउजल स्टेट में आ जाओगे कि योर हार्ट रेट विल इंक्रीज, योर breathing rate will increase, your autonomic system will start running on higher rate. बट अगर उसी स्थिति में आप कांस्टेंट रहते हो, तो इमेजिन कितना वर्कलोड आपके ऑर्गन्स पे पड़ेगा। और अगर इतना वर्कलोड आपके ऑर्गन्स पे पड़ेगा, इमेजिन हाउ योर फिजिकल हेल्थ विल स्टार्ट डिटोरेटिंग। राइट, अगर उसी फ्लाइट मोड पे आप कंसिस्टेंटली रहते हैं, तो हाउ योर फिजिकल एंड मेंटल हेल्थ विल स्टार्ट डिटोरेटिंग डे बाय डे। दैट्स व्हाई यू सीइंग द इंक्रीज्ड रेट ऑफ heart disease, blood pressure disease, diabetes in younger generation these days, because they are in the constant state of stress. Or it can also manifest in the form of freeze reaction. You start withdrawing from the people around you. You start having decreased psychomotor activity. आपका किसी से बात करने का मन नहीं करता. You start having increased sleep. आप ज़्यादातर सोए रहते हैं. जो ज़्यादातर you sometimes start telling people you are lazy. You don't participate in activities. You are socially withdrawing from people. Actually, these people are not lazy. So उनका ये ना ऑटो पायलट मोड बन चुका होता है अपने आप को प्रिजर्व करने का, कि वो लोगों से इसी प्रकार से दूर रहते हैं, क्योंकि being amongst people overwhelm them a lot. सो इस टेस्ट में जो डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म को अडॉप्ट करते हैं, इट्स आइदर अ फ्लाइट मोड और अ फ्रीज मोड. सो इट्स, एंड आई वुड से कि थोड़ा सा ये थोड़ा मेडिकल भाषा में हो जाता है, अगर मैं इसको बहुत ही सरल भाषा में कहूँ कि जो ट्रॉमा होता है, किसी प्रकार का भी ट्रॉमा, इट स्टिक्स विद यू इवन आफ्टर द टेरिबल मोमेंट has passed, even after कोई भी जो इवेंट आपकी लाइफ का होता है वो चला जाता है आपकी लाइफ का, बट फिर भी वो इवेंट आपकी लाइफ में हमेशा थोड़ा थोड़ा बना रहता है. यानी कि एक प्रकार से हम कह सकते हैं कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे आनंदिता ने बताया, जो भी इवेंट्स उसने बताए लाइफ में, कि वो लाइफ में चले गए हैं, बट फिर भी थोड़ा थोड़ा वो इवेंट्स उसके साथ हमेशा साथ में चलते रहते हैं. यानी कि एक प्रकार की ऐसी उम्र कैद की सजा हो गई, वो भी ऐसी उम्र कैद की सजा जो गुनाह उसने किया ही नहीं. शायद आप समझ पा रहे हो मेरी बात, कि ऐसे इवेंट्स लाइफ में उसके हुए कि ऐसा साइकोलॉजिकल ट्रॉमा हुआ जिसकी वो हिस्सेदार बनी. वो उसने वो गुनाह किया भी नहीं, साइकोलॉजिकल इफेक्ट हुआ उस वक्त, बट वो साइकोलॉजिकल इफेक्ट धीरे धीरे उसकी लाइफ के हर इवेंट, हर हिस्से, धीरे धीरे हर चलता ही जा रहा है और वो खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा. That's how trauma spreads throughout your life. So, mental health के point of view से how it can affect you. So थोड़े से technical terms है, but I would like to simplify it as much as I can. So you can have flashbacks of events in your life. So the flashbacks in the sense you can start, you can relive your events in your life again and again. When you have any stressful situations in your life, you will relive your past events again and again in your memories. Then you can have panic attacks. Panic attacks means you will have intense bouts of anxiety in your body, like increased heart rate, palpitations, difficulty in breathing, etc. Or you can have episodes of dissociations. It means that your body and mind is detached, right? Or you are in a different world. You can have sleep issues. You can have self-esteem issues. You have, issues of low self-worth, and you have a lot of self-blaming issues. You आप पुराने इंसिडेंट्स को बार बार याद करते रहते हैं और खुद को ही सेल्फ ब्लेम करने लगते हैं कि शायद कहीं मेरी ही तो गलती नहीं थी इन सब इंसिडेंट्स के पीछे. और moreover you start having many unexplained physical symptoms. आप कहीं कई डॉक्टर्स के पास जाते हैं, you have consistent back pains, you have consistent stomach issues, you have consistent headaches, but doctors are not able to give any physical explanations to all these symptoms. So these can be all, physical symptoms of all these unexplained traumatic events which you have in the past. So this is in short how what is trauma and how trauma affects your life in general. And in short, how to cope up. This is how what is trauma is. And now I will briefly touch how to cope with this trauma. Uh, when it comes to coping with trauma, as I already told you, that trauma is something which becomes the part of your life. So healing is something, if you want to heal from trauma, it is not something which will happen suddenly. It is not something which will be a one-day process or a process of month or a process of 1 year. It is something which has to be a daily process. It is something which will not be a linear process. One has to learn to manage triggers on a daily basis. Of course, I would say therapy helps and medications do helps with the management of symptoms and expert advices do helps. First of all, it's very important is one has to be very gentle on yourself. One has to be very one has to be very patient with oneself. It is okay. There will be days when one will be feeling very overwhelmed with the emotions. There will be days when one will be feeling okay, and other days one will be feeling very overwhelmed with emotions. And the first thing is one has to accept the journey one is going through. Acceptance of the journey is very much important, and acceptance comes with the fact that the healing is never going to be linear. There are always going to be triggers. There are always going to be falls. There are always, going to be periods where you'll be overwhelmed with lot many things. You need to be gentle with yourself. And moreover, you need not to prove to anybody else. And the more you try not to prove your self-worth on external things, on external validation. As I was saying, Anandita was always, I don't know whether it's the right thing to bring that thing on this platform or not. She was constantly worried about her academics or the I want to be a neurosurgeon and this. So she was worried about that whether I just want to bring her words that she was on roller coaster journey and I am trying my best, but sometimes comparisons comes up, then bouts of depression comes up. Right? So whenever you're trying to put your self-worth on external validations, the journey is definitely going to be tough. Right? Because there is never going to be any full stop to the external achievements. There's never going to be full stop to that. And you were enough the day you were born. You are enough today and you will be enough tomorrow. The day you start believing that you are enough today and you will be enough tomorrow also, regardless of your external things, you will start healing. And that's all I want to say. You, I know this is going to be roller coaster journey for you, but I am really impressed the way you're carrying yourself and the way you expressed yourself on this platform. And I will always and also thank Archana ma'am and team for bringing this platform where Anandita could drop away her defenses and express herself so safely and gracefully, because it's very tough for people to express themselves and find such a safe environment where they can express themselves safely. Right? And of course, I'm really thankful to the Archana ma'am for providing such platform. And of course, good luck to Nandita. You will heal. You are doing best, and you will do more. You promise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nikki. Actually, this is you've captured all the points that she had talked about. You also captured the question which was coming, that panic attacks and shortness of breath, and how all of those things you tackled it, shallow breaths, bouts of panic, and how those things are linked, and by comparing it with the adrenaline rush and cortisol rush. So thank you very much for that. Actually, I mean, as Anindita was saying in her journey, see, you were talking about various recurrences, and those recurrences, as ma'am has explained, is because there are some past experiences and they keep manifesting them at various points of time. So we'll be happy to take questions, if any. We had a very nice session. Sanjeevan Lal sir, any questions from your side? I thought you were wanting to ask a question. No. Okay. Any more film ideas? So,
Not
okay.
film
So,
ideas, but I definitely wanted to understand that I, listening to all these speakers over the time, especially Arindita's has been quite a brave story, where she fought everything alone without confiding in anyone, finding a, and finally coming to a platform where she got huge support behind her now. Uh, so all that is somewhere making me look within me that, well, uh, I have one problem. I don't know if this is the right platform to discuss, to share, or how to call it. I have never taken it seriously and never been aware about it. But gradually, I'm coming to realize maybe that is one unresolved conflict within me for years. For last 20 years, I have been having a recurring dream, you know, and I have two recurring dreams. And the first recurring dream, which I always felt good about, was flying up in the air without any gadgets, without any planes, without any wings. I used to dream myself, just taking a leap up in the air and go flying. That was one recurring dream which kept coming to me for very, 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 very long time. And once I joined, I came to shift it to Bombay after Film Institute. It still continued for a long time, but after that, it stopped. The other recurring dream is to, I always somehow dreaming of something else randomly, which I got no connection. I anyway, dreams don't make sense to me. But there is one common thing which I have observed in my dreams is that I end up seeing a thief, seeing a thief trying to get into my house. And the moment I spot a thief in my dream, I always try to shout chore, chore, and try to somehow nab him. But that the moment my wife, my daughter, or somebody, sleeping next to me, they wake me up. क्या हो रहा है? Why are you shouting? Why are you shouting? And then my dream ends. So that dream to catch the thief, whoever keeps appearing in my dream, I don't know for what reason, but I always end up trying to scream, but the person sleeping next to me doesn't let me scream. So I always miss out on catching that thief. Now this is this last time this dream I had tonight. I mean last night. I early morning में when my daughter and my wife they woke me up. यार क्यों चिल्ला रहे हो? And I immediately after that I have a glass of water. I go to washroom and come back and try sleep again. But this is something which has been I realized that this recurring dream has been going on for last 20 years. Maybe 4-5 times in a year. Maybe 3-4 times in a year. I am not trying to count, but then when I get up, I forget it. I sometimes tell my wife, कि अरे रात में सपना में क्यों आया था? She also asks me, why were you shouting? Why were you screaming? I said, what was I screaming? I don't know. The voice was not very clear, but I know that I was trying to shout chor chor, But then they woke me up and I could never catch the thief. Now I don't know how to interpret it. Tonight for the first time when morning when they woke me up, I tried to Google it. I said, why do I get the recurring dream? And the Google tells me it's because of some unresolved conflict which is there. So I said, how to avoid? I again Googled, tonight only, early morning. So, how to resolve this conflict? So the Google again tells me to develop a good sleeping habit. I said, to avoid looking, I have a habit of checking all the news only at night before I go to sleep. So the Google tells me give up that habit. So okay. Then somehow after Renita's story, I thought let me share it with you all.
Okay, so thank you, sir.
I don't know how serious is this problem, but
No, we can ask Dr. Rekhi. We can ask Dr. Rekhi about this phenomena about dreams. I, for one, don't remember any of my dreams unless I explain it to any person immediately after getting up. If I get up from the bed and go to the toilet, I have already forgotten my dream. मुझे याद ही नहीं रहता. But if I at that point of time tell somebody who is there in the bed itself, when I get up, I tell somebody, maybe my mother or my wife or somebody, then I remember. Otherwise, I don't remember. So, yes, Dr. Rekhi, if you will just take this question, which appears to be rather interesting.
See, sir, actually, dreams are more of a symbolic representation of our unconscious thought process. Most of the research of dreams was done by Freud. So what Freud said was it is mostly about the symbolic representation of our unconscious thought process. Of course, I need more information about dreams, or about thought process. I need more personal information about to reach more at conclusion why you are having such recurring dreams. Otherwise, there is no generalized explanation. If we look into why you are flying, you are not able to speak. If you want me to give a generalized overlook why you are having dreams of flying and you want to speak, it's more that you want to express yourself and not able to express yourself, but it's more a generalized explanation. But if you want a more deep analysis about that, of course it needs more information, more in-depth information about you as a person and about your life and all that. So yeah, because it's more of unconscious process that is going on in your mind. Of course, what we call as that not exactly unresolved, but all unconscious thought processes.
Okay. About the flying thing, I can't connect it with any particular incident in my life, except for the fact that I've always wanted to come to movies and make my film and prove a whole lot of things wrong, which is still there because I have still got a couple of projects in my pipeline, which is because of this pandemic thing has got derailed and everything delayed. So this is likely to happen very soon. So I'm not too worried about that. But yes, this sleep thing, I go back to my childhood. You know, when I used to sleep, I had a bedroom to myself. You know,
Oh.
spite of having an elder brother who was studying in a boarding school at that point of time, and not in Jamshedpur, where I come from. So I had one bedroom to myself, and I think by the age of 7, 8, or maybe earlier, I started sleeping alone in that room. Okay, 7, 8, or maybe earlier, and we had a ground floor flat. You know, I had a ground floor flat where I used to sleep with my windows open. So this fear of me, somebody, was always there that ground floor pe rehte hain, somebody from outside is peeping in or looking inside, or uh, somebody, and those grills were not very safe enough because I could squeeze myself through the grill and go out, get out, or come in. The grills were very easy for a small kid to get in and get out. So because once my mother also to with the intention of punishing me, she locked me out of the house, and without telling her, I got into the house again through the window, through the grill. So it was very easy. So that thing remained with me, and my mother also had this habit of gardening. She always wanted to have a good, beautiful garden, and she used to have one. और रात में कभी गाय घुस गई या कुछ हो गया, so she would wake me up in the middle of the night. देखो देखो गाय घुस गया, भगाओ भगाओ गाय को भगाओ. you know so once he did that, and I was so upset at being disturbed in the middle of the night to chase a bloody cow, that I went chasing that cow for almost a kilo, 1 or 2 kilometers, away from our house, middle of the night, with nobody around. I'm chasing this cow just out of anger and frustration. you know and after that, and my mom is waiting for me, to come back. so हाँ, तो हुआ ऐसा. तो रात को, and I come back, गोलमुरी मार्केट तक मैं चेज करके ले गया. you know so, and I come back, I see my mom standing worrying about me, and I said nothing. क्या किया, कहाँ चले गए तुम? ऐसे भगा के ले गए एकदम, मतलब कि दोबारा आया नहीं, this time. So I was very angry. So after that, I came back home and I just crashed out. So I now because of this thief thing keep coming back to me, I try to I'm trying to connect. Maybe because of that incident, maybe because we had a house, ground floor house, where the grills were not very safe. Maybe because of that, I always think of a thief coming in, and I am trying to overpower the thief. So I think I'm trying to connect. The first dream I have no answers, no explanation. The second one, I'm trying to still connect the dots and make sense of them.
Sanju Bhaiya, can I intervene?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have known Sanju Bhaiya since childhood. My Mausi used to live in Jamshedpur, and I can interpret his dreams a little. He was a very, very naughty child. I mean, he was known to be the gang leader of all the riffraffs of the whole colony. And so I feel, let me interpret it for you. Dr. Sasha would do the right interpretation, but I feel that, there was always a sense of validation that you needed from people. Like Anindita said, that that validation, because everybody said Sanju bahut badmash hai, because he used to break glasses and all, and he was really naughty. And he was like, also he had lots of leadership qualities, so he was the gang leader. So I guess that forever, people always saying ki Sanju tum kya karoge, padhte nahi ho, and he never used to study. He was always playing, and ye to perhaps that stems, I was just Googling, and they say that when you are seeing dreams about flying in the air, you are experiencing some kind of
sense of anxiety, and that you are craving for some kind of stability in life. I have sent it on Proud Depressive WhatsApp group. So I don't know. That's one of the explanations, that you were always craving stability. That much I could make out. But you could not help your naughtiness and your yeah. Plus, you had a brother you had to look after. Sanju Bhaiya's brother Samir Bhaiya was an excellent student, but he was a person with disability. So you
He
always
has,
felt in.
my brother is born deaf. He is hearing impaired. But
He's your,
when you compare him to me, it appears I am the handicapped one, not him.
Yes, but what happened in the house? He was always being compared with Samir Bhaiya. Because Samir Bhaiya was the good boy, he was the bright student, he was the obedient child, and he was the naughty child. Just like Parikshit, you and your brother. Same thing had happened with him, that auntie was always scolding him. Maybe that overprotectiveness over a person who is disabled. So I think all that has shaped his psychology. And perhaps there could be some incidents which I'm not aware about in your childhood, but that rebellious streak in you was there, which I have seen has really toned down now. So perhaps that seeking validation from society, which, as Dr. Sasha has very beautifully explained, that Anindita, this is what I want to say, that I was also the kind of person who was always seeking validation from others. And my self-image, despite being despite the fact that I look overconfident, was always, dependent on whether I was praised or criticized. If I was criticized one day, I would sulk. I would withdraw. Then, through depression, the greatest thing that I have been able to achieve is I gave a F about validation. I just don't give a damn, and that has really brought about an immense change in my life. Because as she says that happiness ko, if you measure it with achievements or success, then you'll never be happy, because whatever you're seeking you may not get. But if you're always joyful from within, despite all the trauma, despite all the misery that you've shared, joy is nothing something you seek. It has to come, it just is inside you. So that is something which has really made me a different person, that I was seeking happiness. Now I am joyful. And second thing is about molestation. Like, my case has been really bad as a child, because we were in a very big zamindar, feudal family, where we had these uncles who were great predators. And as Anindita said, that I was one was too scared to share with parents, and one knew that even if one had shared, because the family was so well known, you could not, they would not have done anything, or that was the feeling I thought at that time as a child. So I think, Anindita, all of us, most women, even men, many men as kids have suffered some kind of sexual abuse. So, first when I was growing up, and it really scars you. Sexual abuse really scars you, because as you said, I used to blame myself, that am I too sexy, or am I too, come hither type? Am I inviting people that I always get groped or molested and the others don't? But it has nothing to do with you. Later, I realized that it has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with the other person's psychology. So, and the only way I could resolve it, when I shared it with my husband, who was then my boyfriend, he was the first person I could share that I have suffered. I mean, mine was much, worse than yours, that I have suffered this. So I don't know. It keeps scarring me all the time. So then he said that, most people do. And once I shared, it was like a burden coming off. And I realized that, and when I shared it with other people, I realized that most children have to go through it, because, our parents were not so enlightened to teach you what is an appropriate touch or an inappropriate touch. There were many times I felt that perhaps, I wanted it. It was as bad as that. That blaming myself that perhaps, I want it and that's why this is happening to me. But it's not, it's never that. So that's why, in fact, I became so overprotective about my girl that I never had a boy in the house to as a domestic help, and I was always trailing her. But then I realized she has her own journey. She has to make her own mistakes, learn from her mistakes, and whatever she does, she has to let be. But yes, coming to terms with sexual abuse as a child, I don't know if Supreet is here. She runs this organization called End Incest. It's only when you, because you know that if you come out and if you go say Me Too and make halla kulla, then the family of that person will also get affected, and the family you love so much. So finally, my resolution was. Because I read a lot of spiritual literature, I resolved it through just forgiving and moving on. And today also I talked to, that uncle of mine who really had made my life hell as a 9 to 12 years old. And I'm okay with him. And I really love his kids and his wife, who's very sweet. And I have learned to move on. But Supreet, would you like to come in here?
I would like to listen to Dr. Sasha, what she has to say about my dream. Is it possible?
Sasha already said no generalizations.
I missed your question, sir. I missed your question.
Hello?
I missed your question, sir.
No. I said I said a little about that thief dream, the thief coming into my dream. So I told you that incident, and I'm just trying to connect the dot. I don't know if that is making sense.
So you are still stuck there. We were discussing something else.
No, because that is an unresolved conflict. That's an unresolved conflict within me. So that's why I said I'm still stuck there.
So, Sanju Bhaiya, you need to pay her for a session and get an online session.
No, I'll come separately for that.
Neeta is also looking for Sasha Rekhi's number. So, Neeta, Sasha is there in our group. So, you all can exchange the numbers.
Thanks, Archana. Thanks for that. And Mr. Lal, I can talk about your dream with you sometime. I do a lot of dream work.
So actually, while on the subject of dreams, Mr. Sinha has asked this question. Snoring is a common problem. Is snoring a species of trauma, and is it a link to mental health? Now, I don't know. Maybe snoring could be because of various ENT problems also. But so, Dr. Rekhi, would you like to just educate us a little bit about that?
See, yeah, of course, we have to rule out various ENT reasons of snoring also. Yeah, so that are, of course, before we rule out any psychological reasons, we need to rule out any physical reasons for this snoring.
Yeah, because if there is snoring, there will be, poor sleep quality, and then, there will be daytime sleepiness and all those things. And then that will impact mental health. So, yes. I think, Supreet ma'am, you wanted to talk about, this whole issue of, yes, please.
Hi. Very interesting session indeed. And thank you, Archana, for calling me out. One thing is, I can go by the research. Now, the research that we started almost 6 years ago, it is specifically to do with sexual abuse within families. Now, we are not talking about what happens out on the road or on the streets or somewhere else, but we are talking about our own family members, our own next of kin sexually abusing us, whether it is a father, a mother with their own children or the grandparents. Yesterday there was a case whereby a nana and a mama seduced a 6-year-old girl with a samosa to rape her one by one in front of her toddler brother. And then they bought her the samosa and gave her 20 rupees and told her to keep quiet. Now, incidents like these, as Archana said, as others said also, they happen way too frequently. And the research, which was across the country, in which 28 Indian states and UTs there was a participation from, it's the largest empirical study on incest abuse. It clarified that 1 in 5 of us are victims of incest abuse. Almost 40% said it didn't happen to me, but I know it happened to someone I know. So they were the witnesses, but almost 18%, 18 to 19% said we are the victims ourselves. Major point to understand here is that boys probably suffer more than the girls do. Though we always tend to protect the girls, we always look out